that uh, uh, to try to be the spokesperson. It's not something that I uh, asked to be responsible for, but it just sort of happened. But this and doing meeting with classes like yours here is a very good way to inculcate awareness and interest in the subject in Native American theater. Have any of you seen an American Indian play or an American Indian production or American Indian film or something live on the stage? Any experiences like that that can you share with us what that was?
Last year at the college, we actually showed the film Smoke Signals as part of our Maryland One Book program because last year the Maryland One Book selection was Tommy Orange's There There. So
Hmm.
we showed that film on campus as part of our programming.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, a number of I've worked with almost all of those people that were involved with Smoke Signals.
Oh, wow.
That was created in at the Sundance Lab in at the Sundance Institute in Utah. Uh, when Chris Ayres was there, he and Sherman Alexie, the writer
Mhm.
that composed the short story collection that was taken from. The Yeah, that was an interesting film, Smoke Signals. I It's interesting. I have a lot of eccentricities about being an Indian. Um, and one of my eccentricities is titles. And I never liked the title of Smoke Signals because one of my things that I watch out for constantly is stereotyping. And the Smoke Signals is a kind of a stereotypical
Mhm.
phrase that a lot of people think, oh, I think that the basic image is two Indians with a blanket over a fire and the smoke coming up, and the blanket is the way that they maneuver the blanket with the smoke creates the little signals, and they can send messages and things like that. And that's sort of like a a formative stereotype that I never did quite dig it. But the film was actually a pretty good story. It was a about real people. Those were real Indians that were in that story. They were not Hollywood created Indians. It was written by Indians, by Indian, and was directed by Indians, performed by Indians. So that was an all Indian experience, I would say. But no, any of you, no plays. None of you have seen any of the plays. Any anything in the actual theater? There's not that many available, but if you really are interested, you can locate some of that. So your class hasn't started yet. Is this? I mean, is this now? Is it the class now happening? Is it?
Well, this is an event we host. It's some there is a class here, but this is all just members of the Wor-Wic community. We have our president, our esteemed president, Dr. Casey is here. We have one of our deans I see is here. We have students. So this is not necessarily during a class. This is just an
Oh,
event. I will be teaching Native American writers next year, and your plays will be featured in there.
good. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to share some readings from three of my plays with you guys here coming up here shortly. I'm going to do an excerpt from my play Body Indian, which was the first play that I had produced in New York way back in the 70s at La Mama downtown. I'm also going to read an excerpt from my play Foghorn, which was also premiered by the Native American Theater Ensemble at La Mama in New York in 1973. And I'm going to read a selection from my play 49, which was premiered in Oklahoma in 1975, and these plays get productions sort of intermittently all around Indian country from time to time. I'll be reading excerpts from those, sharing those with you. But let me tell you just a little bit how I got started in the theater. And I actually began my writing work career as a journalist. My undergraduate major at the University of Oklahoma was journalism. And in journalism, one of the things that you learn if you learn how to be a journalist is how to organize a story, how to tell a story. And that is it's a sort of a basic skill that you really do have to master to be able to work as a journalist. So I like being a journalist. It gave me an opportunity to find out things and to learn things and to meet people and to experience things and to check things out and analyze them and try to illuminate people's awareness of what was happening to them in the world and especially with American Indians. And at the time that I was an undergraduate at OU, that in Norman, Oklahoma, that was the period of Indian activism, big time in the 1960s and 1970s. So my personal political cultural interest sort of began to focus on Native American issues, Native American rights, Native American cause, Native American arts, culture, the whole agenda of interest. Um, and I for various reasons, I sort of gravitated towards the theater when I was at OU, uh, primarily because at the time, thinking about being producing and writing films and things for television, that was just beyond the possibility of you couldn't do it. There wasn't the money, there wasn't the experience base, there wasn't the skills. But the theater was something different because the theater, you can do theater just about anywhere. If you got a group of people that are committed to the effort, you can produce it just about on any kind of stage, anywhere. You just have to find some place to do it. And the technical aspects of it, you add those to your efforts as you move along and you advance and gain experience and knowledge. So I sort of started focusing on the theater, and within that interest, my mind was sort of working on sort of dramatizing Indian life, dramatizing things that were happening in Indian problems, difficulties. Uh, you all know that aspect of the American Indian story of broken treaties and discrimination, racism, all of that. And that was really in our minds and our hearts at the time. That was really animating so much of what we were thinking and doing and trying to do. So I said I think I'm going to try to write some plays about what's happening with us and to start examining our situation, our reality, our truth, because it was all we didn't have the answers to a lot of things, but we wanted to know why this was and how this was and how we got this way and what we could do to fix this and how to change this. But there was just so many questions, so many legitimate goals to aim for. So I modeled my awareness for developing ideas for an American Indian theater along the lines of the African American Black theater at that time, which was really happening big time in New York and elsewhere in the African American community of this country. There was so many plays that were being done, and I tried to keep up with what was being produced and to read the reviews and to read the plays and to just be aware. I was very influenced by the writing of Amiri Baraka. At that time, he was known as Leroy Jones. I was very influenced by the playwriting of James Baldwin, um, Lorraine Hansberry, people like that that were really dramatizing events in Black life. So that served as a kind of a model for me. And when I finished at the University of Oklahoma, I went to Washington, D.C. I was an intern in the Senate, and the summer that after I finished at OU. And one of the things that the program required us to do was to come up with an idea for a project that we would write a proposal for and try to get funded and try to actually make that project happen. And I had the bright idea of doing a theater, organizing a theater company, because I knew all the companies at the time. I knew Black Repertory Theater, the Negro Ensemble. I was aware of all of those and how they worked, and that was a kind of a role model in my mind. So I said that let me see if I could do this. Let me see if I could pull this off. So I started working on it, and I went to the National Endowment for the Arts in Washington to inquire as to possibilities of funding and help. That's where you went at the time. At that time, for everybody started at the National Endowment for the Arts then. And there was a really wonderful lady there that was interested in my ideas. And she said, let me give you some good advice, Mr. Geiogamah. She said, you should try to find a theater that's already happening and ask them if they will let you come there and do this project within their environment and help you and sort of support you and guide you and be a resource for you. Try to locate somebody that will do that for you if you can. And then we can seriously consider you for funding. So that you're not just a little baby organization that doesn't know how to, that's just learning how to walk. So I said, so you have any suggestions? She said, well, there's a lot of people in New York that might be interested in this. So I said, okay, I'll go to New York. I'll check it out. And at that time, La Mama was really big time in the early 70s. So I daringly got on the phone and called La Mama. Said, I'd like to talk to La Mama if I can. They said, you mean Ellen Stewart? I said, yes, yes. So I said, hold on. So they switched me to Ellen Stewart, and she said, hello. And I said, is this La Mama? She said, yeah. She said, who is this? I said, my name is Hanay Geiogamah, da 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 da. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. She said, what, can you come up to New York and we can talk in person? So I said, yeah, I'll do that. And I was shaking, trembling. I couldn't hardly believe what was happening. So I went to New York and told her all about my ideas and what I wanted to do. And she said, yeah, I'll help you. Yeah. If you want to come to New York, I certainly would be interested in co-sponsoring the project like this. So we put a lot of things together, and it took about a year to get all the money and all the organization and everything, including places to live, because we were bringing 16 Indians from all over Indian country. We had to find those people that were interested in acting or had done some acting, some writers, different people that would come and form the core group and bring them to New York. So we started out in 1972 in New York, and Ellen Stewart was do any of you know about Ellen Stewart? Do y'all know about La Mama? So it's one of the key cultural persons in 20th century American arts. She was very committed to the project. She made the entire resources of La Mama available to us, to help us, to teach us, to guide us, to train us. And at that time, there were some very gifted people there: Wilfred Leach, William Elliott, John Vaccaro, Lee Brewer. There's so many incredible people, and Tom O'Horgan. So these people became our teachers. They became our coaches, our mentors, and it was just an incredible learning experience. And so we of course we had a goal of doing a production. So I wrote the play Body Indian, and one of my colleagues in the group, Robert Shorty, wrote a one-act dramatization of the Navajo creation myth, a piece called Nahatsan, and we put them on, and we did them as Indian theater. And we learned the basics of the theater. Everybody in the theater has to know the basics. But once we learned the basics, then we started adding our Indian ideas, our Indian influences, our Indian treatments to these things, and as we were going along, and we had our premiere performance, and it succeeded. We pulled it off. It was an amazing thing. And the real incredible stroke of luck that happened 3 days after we opened the show, the drama critic of the New York Times came down to see our shows. His name was Clive Barnes, and he wrote this fantastically supportive, encouraging review for our first production, and that clicked everything in. That immediately brought us to the attention of people in the arts and all over, as something like that has the influence of doing, and we were able to start getting grants and planning, and so we were off, but that off and running, and we did national tours of Indian country. We went to different Indian communities all over the country, doing our shows, taking our shows into tribal communities, into tribal cultural centers, all over the country. And then we started. Then we toured overseas. Went to Europe and different places. So that's how we got started. That's how it all happened. At a certain point, we wanted to move to Indian country because New York was so different from life in a tribal reservation, and it was really an adjustment challenge all the way through. Even though we loved New York, it was fantastic. There were so many shows and so many people, and but it was hard to live there. It was not easy, and it was also very expensive. So we moved out to Indian country, and then at a certain point, the company sort of got tired of itself, and we disbanded because it was too difficult to get hold people together to commit to that kind of work. And then I started working in films and television, and then started working in academia, and came out to Los Angeles and started as a professor in 1990 at UCLA. That's been my day job, and a place like UCLA Department of Theater allows you to work in your field while you're a member of the faculty, which is a wonderful blessing. So I've been able to continue my creative work as a member of the faculty, and that includes it. But my tenure here at UCLA included founding Project Hoop, which was the National Native American Performing Arts Advocacy Group, which promotes the development of Native theater at all levels in tribal communities everywhere. That's a sort of a simplified summary of what it does, and that means trying to do that. We have helped sponsor about 6 different tribal projects, a very complicated, challenging process, and there are 560 some tribes. So that just gives you an idea of the scope and scale of the dream to have a tribal theater in every tribe that wants one, every tribe that can sponsor one. So that's kind of a summary of where of my efforts in the theater. So any questions or any comments on that before I do the readings? Anybody?
I don't see any questions in the chatter. So if you want to move into the readings, and then there may be some questions at the end.
Good. Okay, good.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you. I hope I didn't rattle on too long. I'm going to read a scene from my play Body Indian first. I'm going to read a speech by the character of Howard, who is it's in Howard's little apartment that the play takes place, and there's a number of people there, including Bobby Lee, and that they, well, if you read the whole play, you'll see what's happening. But Howard's trying to calm everybody down, so that they can perform their final perfidy on Bobby. Um, and this is his speech. Let me see if I can get the light on here. Okay. Just a second. Okay, this is it. Howard, I'm gonna read the stage directions as well, so that so you'll kind of have an idea of where we're at. Howard says to the character Thompson, Thompson, go get us another drink. I'll go. You have money to buy it? I don't have any money. I'm broke. You Lala. Me and Thompson don't have any more money. We spent it all a long time ago. You have money. I spent all my lease money already, Howard says. No, you didn't. You still have money. They're needing a drink. And the main character needs a drink too. Howard says, hold on. Yeah, but do you have any more money? We need another drink. And the young guy, James, says, we're all busted. They giggle. Are y'all in your car, Sonny? Yeah, we've been sliding around in it uptown. It's yet early, man. Are those stores still open up there? Yeah, they're open. The ones you want. What do you want us to do, Grandpa? Sit down, all y'all, sit down, Howard says. Howard now takes control. His grimness exerting a force over the others. Howard's like in his 70s. Y'all know how Bobby Lee gets when he's been drinking for a long time and runs out. They all say yes. He gets real sick, huh? Yes, real sick. I was with him one time in Oklahoma City jail when he got sick, real sick. He was really having those DTs. His arms was moving and jerking like cows when you butcher it. His legs were shaking. He sounded like he was choking. He told me he saw in his DTs a row of little chickens sitting on those jail bars singing Indian songs. He said there was purple and gold and red colors like those little Easter chickens. He said he felt like his head was being hit with a big iron about ever so often. He said he felt like he was falling through the whole jailhouse floor into the sewer lines. He said his hair was long as an old lady's, and his fingers were all shrunk up like he was a dead. He told me he thought he was going to die while he was in those DTs. I don't want him to have them again. He had them lots of times. I know what they're like. He's going to have them again if we don't get a drink. He don't have any more on hunger money. It's all gone. He spent it all. He always spent his money fast. He don't have any more wine here. I'm going to get him some more wine before he wakes up. He's going to need it. He sure is going to need a drink when he wakes up. Y'all know that. Howard moves to the bed. He signals Thompson to join him. They begin jostling Bobby's body roughly, almost brutally. The others begin one by one to rise and stand around the bed to watch, hiding the operation from the audience. There is complete silence. Out of the audience's view, Howard and Thompson are removing Bobby's artificial leg. James is the first to leave the encirclement, signaling his the two girls, that it's time for them to leave. Howard calls James back for him to assist in rearranging Bobby's body on the bed. Sonny, I want you to take us to White Man Bootleggers on Washington Street. He'll give us what we need for this, indicating the artificial leg. He'll let Bobby have it back when Bobby can get it out. Okay, all right, Grandpa, let's go. Let's hurry. It's getting late. We got to go to the concert. So, and then the drum starts pacing the scene. And they have done They've taken Bobby's artificial leg, which was severed in a. He was passed out on the train tracks, and the train came along and ran off, fell off his leg, and he's had a prosthesis for a number of years, and in Bobby's alcoholic career, one of the things that developed for him was that he realized that when he needed money, as alcoholics always need a drink, that he could pawn the leg, pawn that artificial leg, and get money to get drinks. And then when he got his lease money, he would be able to get it out. So there was a development that the others knew about that had done that. So what they're doing now is that Bobby's passed out, and they're taking the leg off of him and taking it to pawn it so that they can get drinks. That's the only way that they can get the drinks. So that's it's very grim, but it was also and this is my point of reading this, very grim, but it was also the truth. That was not fictionalized. That's the kind of thing that was happening in the alcoholics community in American Indian country at that time. That kind of disintegration of social structures, respect, caring, empathy, etc. That if push came to shove, something like that could happen without there being any jolting response to it, almost with a kind of a casual indifference to the results of it. That was the point of the play. So of that particular scene in the play. Okay. Any questions? Okay, I'm gonna move on to Foghorn, and I'm gonna read.
We have one
a
in the
scene,
chat first from
with
our
the
Dean
school
of
teacher.
General. Okay, we have one question in the chat first. If you'd want to
Am I
answer.
muted? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We have one question in the chat if you want to answer before you
Hold
continue.
on just a second. I'm sorry. Are you talking, David?
Yeah, we have one question in
on.
the chat. And it was, would you please explain the idea of lease money? Did I
Oh,
hear you correctly with the word lease?
yes, lease money. Many Indians still today that own land. Remember that almost all the reservation lands that were set up in the 1870s, 1860s, 1870s, 1880s. Those were reservations that were the areas of the country that certain tribes were placed on. Every tribe was placed on a different reservation. And then when the Manifest Destiny was happening, the white people wanted that land because some of it was good land. And they said, what are those Indians doing with all that land? We want it. So the government just took it away from they took away the reservations pretty much as well. But as compensation, they gave every Indian that was 21 years or older what was called an allotment of land. And they gave them 160 acres of land in the areas that they had settled in, and that was it's called allotment land, and that was it was intended for the Indians to learn how to farm and raise cattle and crops and stuff on it, but which never really happened. So then at the turn of the century and into the 20th century, they started the process of white men wanted even that land. And so but they wouldn't let them take it away from them, so they leased it. And the Bureau of Indian Affairs for the federal government set up a leasing program, which was like leasing it for like $1 an acre for a year, which was almost nothing. And the lease money was paid out. I remember my dad on his lease, he would get the total sum for he leased 80 acres of his allotment, and for that 80 acres he would get about $250 a year, which was at that time a lot of money. It was considered a lot of money. So that's lease money. When you get your lease money, that's what that is.
Okay. And someone asked, what kind of money were you using back then? Was it just the regular currency or was it like gold, silver?
No, it was regular currency, pretty
Hmm.
much. Um,
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
the the I remember when I was little, it was such a joyous occasion when we um when the lease money would come, because we had at least we had some money. The For us, that was a lot of money. I'm going to read the school teacher scene from Foghorn. Um, the school teacher is uh this is a when in a government boarding school back in say in the like 1890s, 1880, late 80s, not 90s. And the government, in order to they were saying that they would educate the Indians. So a lot of them um uh were forcibly sent to government Indian schools, and that they were very strict um people. A lot of them were affiliated with churches, and the strictest of them all were Catholics. Very strict teachers, disciplining people, and harsh, and this is my satirical take on on that aspect of our past, of our experience in this country. And Foghorn was I wrote Foghorn as a statement saying, we know what y'all think of us. We know how y'all see us. We know what's in your heads about us. We know what y'all have created and put into your heads about Indian people. And we're trying to show you anecdotal examples of that awareness. And this is Foghorn is a series of those anecdotal sketches that depict aspects of the experience. And this is the one that reflects on education. The school teacher. She's very the the original production. We wanted her to play it very clownish, very good morning to you, good morning to you, just over the top. Silliness, which help to convey part of the message. Okay, the school teacher. A clownish, a clownish school teacher dances on stage, ringing a bell, uh, carrying a bundle of small American flags, singing "Good morning to you." She's has been preceded on stage by a group of very young Indian students who run on stage playfully, taking seats on two wooden benches. They respond to the teacher with awe, surprise, mild defiance, and fear. The teacher is snobbish, nervous, rude, feisty, and boisterous, blusterous. Teacher, overdone but with control. Good morning, boys and girls, our squaws and bucks. Good morning. She puts the bell down, fusses with her hair and dress. The students pay no attention. She becomes angry. Good morning, savages. She busily arranges them in order. I see that this is going to be more difficult than they told me it would be. You are all totally ignorant. You might as well just be deaf and dumb. Do any of you understand any English? Not a single one of you? I wonder if the people in Washington really know what they're doing by trying to teach these savages how to speak English, how to live like civilized human beings. These stupid children should be left on their reservations and forgotten about. What a bunch of worthless things. She sees one of the girls gesture to one of the others and pummels the girls, who pulls back and wide-eyed with surprise. What are you doing there? What was that? Was that an Indian sign language gesture I saw you making there? Was it? Was it sign language? Well, there won't be any more of that in this classroom. None of that. I'll wrap your knuckles hard if you do that again. Do you hear me? Do you understand me? It'll be the dark room for you. That's one step out of your savagery. Suddenly, pinching her nose in broad gestures. Ooh, oh, what an odor. She lifts the blanket of a girl pupil. Ooh, wee, young lady, ooh, wee. You don't smell like a white woman. You smell oh my goodness. You are going to have to learn how to take a nice, civilized, ladylike bath and keep your body clean. Do you hear me? That'll be another step out of your darkness. Looking in one of the boys' hair, the teacher. Oh, heavens alive! Oh, 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 oh. Good heavens. Knits, knits. Oh, and they're alive. They're real. Oh, lice. Oh, how disgusting, how utterly disgusting. She scratches herself wildly. Well, this can be easily solved. Every one of you will have your hair cut off tonight. Tonight, girls and boys. We will not have a bunch of lousy Indians in this classroom. No, oh no. After a short pause. Sign language, stinking bodies, blankets, deaf and dumb. How did these people ever get themselves in this condition? The students are giggling again. She reestablishes order, continues. You Indians are going to become educated. Educated. That's spelled Educated. Educated. Here in this school, you are going to learn the English language. You are going to learn how to be Christians, how to worship God and live a clean, wholesome, decent life. You are going to learn how to be civilized people, civilized Indians, Indians who can earn an honest living, Indians that the American people can be proud of, not shamed by, so that we can hold our heads up high and say, they are just like us. They are civilized. They aren't wild and on the warpath anymore. They are living the American way. Oh, say, can you see? Then she sees the girls make a gesture again, lunges at her, yanks up the child, shouts directly into her face. This is not the reservation, child. This is not that awful place you came from, where you all run around half naked, filthy, living in sin. This is a white man's schoolhouse. I told you not to do that again. I told you what I'd do. She shakes the girl violently. You are going to be a lesson for the others. You, child, are going to be punished. She pulls out a bottle of castor oil and, and pours it down the struggling girl's mouth. It's the dark room for you. She pushes the child into a dark space. You will stay in here all day. No food, no water, and no toilet. She is a lesson for all of you to follow. I caught her doing a sign language gesture. No more of that in this classroom. Do you hear me? You are going to forget all your Indian ways, all of them. You can start erasing them from your minds right now, right here, right in this instant. No more of your disgusting sign language. No more of your savage tongue. No more greasy, lousy hair. No more blankets. You're going to learn the English language. That is what you were brought here for. The English language, the most beautiful language in all the world, the language that has brought hope and civilization to millions of people everywhere, the one true language, our language. Quickly turning her back to the students. Now listen to me carefully, very carefully. I am going to teach you your first word of English. Listen carefully, for it is the one word you must know first to become civilized. You must say this word to all of the white people you see, all of them, men and ladies. They'll be proud of you when they hear you say it. Yes, proud. And when they hear you say it, they'll know that you are being civilized, that you're being relieved of your savage, uncivilized ways. They'll smile back at you and say the same thing. All right? Okay? Listen closely. The word is hello. 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 Listen to the way I say it. Hello. Hello. It's the first word of the American way. The American way begins with hello. Say it, children. Hello. 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 One of the pupils timidly tries the word and giggles as the others show amusement. The teacher hears her, yanks her to the front of the class with much flourish. She said it! She said it! She said the word! She's on the road to the American way now. She said hello. The teacher hands the girl a small American flag, then takes it back to demonstrate how to wave it while repeating hello. The girl clowns crudely with the flag in her hand as the teacher turns to coax the class one by one to say hello. The students aid the teacher with strong gestures as she continues to instruct the remaining students. The teacher soars on her success. The pupils form into a tight group, fist clenched closed in on her and attack her. The lights fade on the drilling sound with visuals, earth visuals. Hello, 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 hello. And she screams, and the earth visuals come in. The sound of the foghorn comes on, and to mark the end of the scene, and the teacher, the students throttle her and carry her upside down out off the stage. That's the end of the scene. It sounds again, it's hard, but remember that I shared with you a bit earlier that the truth is sometimes really pretty hard, and we couldn't this was how we thought we could satirize that process, the process of education, the dehumanizing, demeaning experience that hundreds of thousands of our ancestors were put through in the government boarding schools. This was our response. This scene, by the way, it always pretty much stopped the show when it was performed, because it was the actress that played it, the late Marie Antoinette Rogers, was wonderful in it. Any comments? Any questions? I think I'm shocking.
All right, we got a question in the chat from Chuck Porter. So, wow, thank you so much. Your voices for your characters are so distinct. Do you have some technique that you use as you write to give each character their unique voice?
So I would answer that as a technical response. If you write scripts, if you write plays, if you write film scripts, television scripts, you gotta know how people sound. You gotta, excuse me, I forgot to turn the sound. I thought I turned it down. You gotta know how people sound, and just and when you're writing the monologue like that, you just think of how she would sound, how you would want her to sound. Also, too, it's exaggerated. That's intentional. The exaggeration is intentional because it's a satire, and it's over the top helps to convey the idea. I've always been fairly good with voices.
Awesome.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Good. Okay, so now we're going to go to my play 49. This is 49 is what I call ceremonial drama. The whole piece is a ceremony, and within the aesthetic that we have constructed for American Indian theater, the ongoing in progress aesthetic that's being constructed. A ceremony is an event that's conducted at a special setting for a special purpose, and it has a message, has a theme, and it has performers that deliver the lines and speak the dialogue, and a crucial part of it is that it has to have an audience. The audience is the tribal members, and in this aesthetic of theater, it's very, very much preferable for the audience to be involved somehow in what's happening. The performers, the people that are doing it, are encouraged to bring them into the process. So I'm gonna read this. This is a little parable story that the main character in the play tells. And let me ask you all to as you hear this scene, the story, it's a story. In your minds, in your minds and your thoughts, try to locate points where you think the audience could be involved in what's happening, members of the audience. And if you can identify one or two of those, try to say what it is that you would that they would do in being involved in it. Audience involvement. It's an important aesthetic point of tribal theater. Hold on. I'm reading this from my original copy of this play. I found it in one of my things. Okay, this is scene 10 from the play 49, and it's delivered by the tribal shaman Nightwalker. Hold on just a second. Make sure that I got sound in here. The injured girl in the car accident lies apparently dead on the stage floor. The young tribespeople show no signs of noticing her body. Nightwalker is now more intense. This is fairly close to moving towards the end of the piece. Nightwalker to the young people that were grouped around him. This arbor cannot be killed. It is strong and powerful. It has lived for a very long time. It can be burned and torn apart, but the life cannot be taken from it. It draws its life from the hearts and souls of the tribe, our people. There was a time in a journey of our people when the power of the arbor had lost much of its strength. My grandmother told me the story of this time in our people's journey. An old woman from another tribe came into the village. She played with the children who thought she was silly and harmless. She was given a teepee to stay in while she visited. One night, she invited all of the children of the tribe to her teepee to tell them stories of the land from where she had come. The children begged her to tell them more. Her stories were the kind that young people liked to hear. She told them that if they wanted to go to her country, she would take them. They had to promise her that they would do everything that she told them to do. They all agreed. The smoke from her fire became thick. The old woman told the children to put their hands into the smoke, and the smoke would carry them up through the flap of the teepee and over the night sky to her land. They agreed to forget all of the ways of our people while they were on the journey. The children were eager to go to her country. They did as the old lady told them to do, and one by one, their figures and voices disappeared from the circle around the fire. One of the mothers of the tribe went to the teepee to bring her children back to her camp. She cried out when she saw the teepee was empty. The fire was still burning. The tribespeople became angry. The chiefs had young warriors guard the teepee. A prayer meeting was held. The ceremonial leader sought a vision. All the tribe crowded around our arbor to hear him tell of what he had seen. The children are still in the teepee, the good man told the tribespeople. The old lady visitor played a trick on them. She promised to take them to her country, but she's the only one who could leave the teepee. The children are safe. They are warm. They are singing and dancing, playing games and telling stories. None of them is quarreling with the others. But the teepee is empty. Our children are dead. They have been stolen, the tribespeople cried out. The mothers began to wail. They are in the teepee, the old man repeated. The people did not believe him. They said his vision was wrong. The chiefs pulled in the horses and formed the braves into groups to search for the lost children. The men rode off, leaving only the old people and the women. The wise man stayed under the arbor, praying. He prayed for many seasons. The women would not look at him. They wanted to burn the teepee, but he said they would have to kill him if they, hold on. They would have to kill him if they did. They were afraid to harm the holy man, and he still prayed. Then the hunting parties began to return to the camp. The men had ridden far in all directions. Their grief was strong for their lost children. They had changed as men. None of the tribespeople would come to the arbor. The wise man saw that the fire, which had not stopped burning, had started to go out. He carried firewood to the teepee and waited outside until the fire had already died out. Some of the tribespeople gathered around to watch. The holy man went into the teepee with the firewood and started the fire again. When the flames began to jump from the burning wood, the wise man started to sing. The smoke began rising up through the flat. Many tribespeople were outside the teepee now, watching and talking among themselves. Suddenly, many voices could be heard singing, the voices of the children. The singing got louder. From outside the teepee, the tribespeople could see in now. They saw the figures of their children take shape through the light. The wise man led the singing children out of the teepee and into the arms of their mothers and fathers. The people cried out in happiness. The wise man led all the people to the arbor. One of the older boys stood to talk before all of the tribe. We have been inside the teepee, he said. We could see all of you, but you could not see us. We could not come out until you believed that we were inside. We sang, danced, used the colors. He showed them a pretty breastplate that he had made. We have changed, he told the tribe. We are better men and women now. Nightwalker strikes the drum, a single hit, then a second one, and the injured girl rises from the stage floor and joins the group. The tribespeople painted the teepee with beautiful colors and designs. They placed many gifts under the arbor. The arbor once again was covered with the beautiful light of its love for the people. Rattles, bells, and drums begin slowly. You will pray at the arbor for many seasons. Pray for our tribe to gather beneath it. Young man, I will always find the willow branches, young woman, and I will place them on the poles. I will bring the feathers and the ribbons, and I will braid them into the branches. The arbor becomes blazingly alive. That's a parable story. I haven't read that. This is the first time I've read that in a while. Just something about this particular one as a writer. Sometimes a story like this just happens. I remember when I wrote this. I remember when I actually wrote it. I wrote it by hand, and it just came out. The whole thing just came out like pretty much like I just read it. I just edited it just a little bit to get it into the actual script. And sometimes that happens to you. It's one of the wonderful aspects of being a creative person when that happens. It doesn't happen often, but that this is one of the times that it did. A little parable. So my question was, in hearing that story, anybody want to try to share a kind of a summary of what you think that story is saying? What is it? What's the point of it? Is there a corollary to contemporary life? Any thoughts? No? It's a kind of a generation gap that's happening. That's happened. The young people, young people, their interests went somewhere else. They diverged from the focus of being strong tribal members into to other interests. And the old lady was a trickster that was trying to lead them astray. It's a parable. The young people, from Patricia Riley. The young people assimilate, but I can't read the whole.
But at what cost?
Yeah, at what cost? They forget the stories. They forget the ways, the customs, the traditions, uh, etc. They forget how to be Indians. I guess it's a more blunter, simpler way to put it.
Okay, so we'll open it up for questions in the chat. We have our first one. Do you speak your own, or did your family teach you your own language? And do you speak a native or indigenous language in any of your plays?
No, I don't speak my own language because my father was a full-blood Kiowa Indian, so I'm one half Kiowa, and my mother was part Delaware, and Irish and French, and the English and the Kiowa just did there was no coexistence, so it was all English, and our tribal language is a complicated one, and you have to learn it by living it. And it was not possible to live it. So I learned just little bits and pieces of it, little words and stuff. But that's fairly fairly common reality. I do use what in my writing. If when I jot down TL, that's the tribal language. I'll find the right tribal phrase from whatever language would fit that and put that in just to give it that color, that texture.
Okay, are there any other questions for Mr. Geiogamah? I guess as I'm waiting for some in the chat, maybe what can we do as students, as a college, as just professionals to help preserve Native American traditions in a very general sense?
What can you all do to be helpful?
Yeah.
Well, well, you are being you're already doing it by taking this class. No, it's helpful because that you can learn things about you could help educate yourself away from the stereotypical perplex. That we are human beings. We're real people. We have feelings. We have needs. We love people. We want good things to happen. we're not savages. We're not all those things that the school teacher was saying that they calling the students. We didn't start the problems that were forced upon us. We didn't start it. It was we were invaded, and we've done to survive. And what's available now is what's managed to survive all of that, and it's incredible assault on a race of people, the American Indian experience. And saying that at the same time, it's very important for a person like myself to not let anger and bitterness and resentment dominate my thinking. You cannot succeed in communicating and sharing with people if you try to do so from a point of view of meanness, nastiness, and ugliness. You've got to you have to be good. Try to be good. I saw in the chat, can we all dress up like Native Americans? No, you can't. That's an interesting thing. Let me respond to that with this. As the artistic director of the American Indian Dance Theater, which David mentioned earlier, I was staging American Indian dance for concert performances, and for taking it from the actual context and environment that the dances are performed in, and putting them on stages with tech support, lighting, all of that, sound. And in the first 2 or 3 years of that experience, we really emphasized the dancers that wear the regalia. They refer to that as their outfits. They don't say their costumes, they say their outfits. And some of them are quite spectacular, quite incredible. And when you assemble that on the stage, it's beautiful, it's stunning. And when you move it, when you make it move and vibrate and happen, it's even more incredible. So interestingly, the reviews for those performances, all of them were saying, almost all of them started out saying how beautiful it was, how beautiful. Oh, it's just stunning, spectacular. And I toured with the company for its first 2 years just to get it properly set up. So I would sit in the back of the theater almost every performance, just watching, looking for something, looking for ways to improve it, to sharpen it, to strengthen it. And I reached the point, I said, oh my goodness, Geiogamah, I don't want to see any more feathers. I don't want to see any more. I've seen, as beautiful as they are, I just don't want to see it anymore. But this is why. There's always got to, you're always, when you say something like that, or you come to a realization like that, you've got to know why you don't want it. I said, no, what is your why here now? Why are you tired of this? I said, because I am not able to actually see the actual dancing. The feathers and all the ribbons and everything, it all covers up the bodies. In earlier in the days, in the daytime, we were rehearsing and we didn't have the outfits on. So I could see the bodies, I could see the legs move, I could see the torsos, I could see the arms, I could see the energy, the flow, and the movement of the dance, the lines, the whole process. It was incredible. And the good ones were really amazing. I mean, it was amazing. I said but we can't really see that with all those feathers. Even the people that you can sort of see the larger motion, but you can't actually see the actual dance, physicality of the dance itself. What to do? What can I do? how can I address this? What's possible? The most drastic thing, obviously, is that well, don't let them dance without the costumes, without the outfits. Really? Really? Dance without those? Yes, damn it. Yes. Do you have the courage to try it? You want to try it? Yes, without the outfits. Not the whole show, not everything, but try it. So I tried it. It took some time to convince them because I was not trying to do anything wrong at all. What I was trying to do was to show, was to let the audiences see the actual dancing itself. So we did it. We called it the new dance, and it was done in blacks and tight pants and shorts, and it was stunning. It was just like incredible, and that also stopped the show when we were doing it because that was totally unexpected. The next thing I knew, the reviews were talking about that, about how exciting and startling it was to actually see that something that was totally unexpected. So yeah, the outfits they have specific purposes, and understanding them is an important part of the creative process.
Awesome. Thank you so much. One question, does your last name have a specific meaning?
My last name, the Kiowa tribal pronunciation of my last name is Geiogamah. And that is a two-part name. The Geog, that was my grandfather's whole name, my paternal grandfather. Geoi, that was his name, Geoi. And the Amah, A-M-A-H, that is, I think in linguistics, that's called a nominative suffix. And you put it at the end, you join it to a name, like they put it when he was given his English name, they also had to certify his final name. And the members of his family, they were all from the family of Geoi. So Ma means a member of this family, Geoi's family, Ma, Geoi, Ma. So pronounced Geoi Ma. So so it was his name, and Geoi means. My father was a tribal medicine man. My grandfather. People gave him gifts and things for him helping them, and the Geoi means the person who receives stacks and stacks of nice gifts. That's what it means.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Our college president, Dr. Casey, had this really great comment in the chat. Dr. Casey, would you like to unmute and speak?
Yeah, sure. I apologize. At first, for some reason, my camera is not working, so I apologize that I wasn't on, but thank you so much for your storytelling. I think through theater, we're able to see it come to life in a very different way. I was out in Washington State for a lot of years and had the opportunity to work very closely with the Muckleshoot tribe. And
yeah.
You brought to life for me the stories I heard from them about, their children would leave their community, and the community really needed them for the streams and restoration and the fishing. And, really so many of the children wanted to leave and start their own lives, but really the elders struggled with that. So I think that we need to continue that storytelling in whatever way possible, through theater, through music, through dance, through social media, whatever it takes to make sure that the young people of our future truly understand the cultural history and carry that forward. So
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
thank you. Yes, I thank you for your Indigenous roots and for your ability to communicate what the experience was for so many, and yet probably still is. We know alcoholism still exists in our tribal communities, and mental health, and how are those resources, put in the communities that are needed to make sure that people can thrive.
Yeah, exactly. I taught at the University of Washington in Seattle.
Oh, you
In the
did?
yeah, in the late 70s. Yeah. Mhm. I loved it. Loved it. It's a beautiful place, beautiful campus.
Yeah,
I've got a
go
lot of
ahead.
friends from tribes in Washington.
Yes, and I think this is one of our areas, and David, with teaching, next semester, I mean, this is our work. I will share with you, when I arrived at Wor-Wic, I was presenting at an event, and we usually did a land acknowledgement,
Oh, yeah.
in Washington, always, not usually, we
Mhm.
always did. So I did a land acknowledgement at our campus, and people had no idea what I was doing. They had no understanding of who the tribal communities
Wow.
were, and the indigenous roots of our land here. And so I'm excited that we had you tonight. I'm excited for
Thank you.
David and his course that he will be offering, and I'm excited for the future of our community, really thinking and reflecting on our ancestors and who they were, and your ancestors and who they were, and how we together can create a history, legacy at Wor-Wic about our tribal communities.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. It really means a lot to me. There's just one thing I wanted to share. In the state of Washington, there's one of the many tribal reservations that are in Washington state. There's one that I personally consider to be a paradise on the earth, and that's the Yakima Reservation,
Yakima, yes.
which is right in central Washington.
Mhm,
It is a
mhm.
paradise. It's beautiful. It's got crops. It's got everything. It's got rivers. Everything.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
no,
It
no.
is. I want to acknowledge too, thank you from reading from your original playbook. That's so amazing for all of us to be in your presence reading from that to us. So
This
I'll just finish with that. Thank
here it
you
is.
so
This is it
much.
right here.
Yes. Beautiful.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Dr. Casey. Thank you. Very.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for attending. And again, let's give it one more round of applause for Professor Geiogamah. It was an absolutely incredible evening. And thank you again so much for presenting. It was truly a great honor. And I look forward to discussing your works with my students next year in the class. Thank you so much.
If I were ever able to be a guest in person in your class, I would stage a couple of these scenes with the class, like the school teacher scene. Would
Awesome.
be fun.
Awesome. I will definitely reach out when we have the schedule done for
Be
it.
fun to stage it and have everybody. It would take us about 15-20 minutes to get the chorus of hello, 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 hello to work. But it would work. Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your sharing this experience, and I wish you all a wonderful class.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you.
care.
so much.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Aho. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.